Right after the Civil War, this was for the babies of slaves. And what's happening now, people are building businesses around it from.
The 14th Amendment was passed exclusively in the aftermath of the Civil War to ensure that the children of slaves would be citizens. It had no other meaning and purpose outside of that. And that's been clear, obviously, since the day that it was passed. You can go back and you can read the congressional debates. This is not something that's even seriously contested by anybody.
But they've taken birthright citizenship and they've made a joke out of it.
Trump says only black Americans have the rights at the spot. All right, so Donald Trump has put in an executive order to end the abuse of the birthright citizenship. People have been abusing it, and he's trying to make it clear it's only for black Americans.
Right after the Civil War, this was for the babies of slaves. And what's happening now, people are building businesses around it from the Supreme Court concerning birthright. It was close, but a very, very unfortunate decision. So we're making adjustments because it's very unfair. This was done for a different reason. This was done right after the Civil War. This was for the babies of slaves. And what's happening now, people are building businesses around it from wealthy people are building businesses around birthright citizenship. That's not the way it was supposed to work. It's a disgrace. They're buying their way in, and we're not going to let it happen. So, Steve, if you will, please.
Yes, so today the president signed these two executive orders here relating to birthright citizenship and birth tourism. As the president mentioned, the 14th Amendment was passed exclusively in the aftermath of the Civil War to ensure that the children of slaves would be citizens. It had no other meaning and purpose outside of that. And that's been clear, obviously, since the day that it was passed. You can go back and you can read the congressional debates. This is not something that's even seriously contested by anybody.
Trump signs new executive order on this birthright citizenship situation. You see, the Supreme Court shut his last little bid down. So he revised it, you know what I'm saying, him and his lawyers, White House staff, and they came up with a new one, you know what I'm saying, based on those that are coming over here that are not American citizens, having children, those that are paying surrogates, anybody whose parents are not legal citizens, you understand me? They all gotta go, period. As you heard, Trump recognizes that the amendment was created for the black man and woman and their descendants. You understand me? Nobody else. You heard the White House lawyer. He said it clearly. Nobody debates this. The only problem.
Yep, that's very true. That's I mean, you know, they're just saying the truth and trying to bring things back to where it was for this country, you know. Let's get a little bit more into exactly the exactly what they're trying to do, though.
A very unfortunate decision in the Supreme Court concerning birthright. It was close, but a very, very unfortunate decision. So we're making adjustments.
The president is using his authority as commander-in-chief to sign first an executive order using the new ruling the Supreme Court issued to expand the definitions of people who are ineligible for birthright citizenship. That includes, for example, alien enemies of the United States, members of foreign terrorist organizations, and large categories of people who lobby and act on behalf of foreign governments. And so with taking this action, it ensures that large numbers of people who wrongly would be getting birthright citizenship will no longer be eligible for those benefits. The second action that he's taking, which is especially historic, is for the first time ever in American history to ban birth tourism. So I want you to really let that sink in. This has been something that people have talked about not only for years, but for decades. The idea that people come here pretending to be a tourist, pretending to be a visitor, saying they want to go to Disneyland, or they want to go visit a monument or go to a national park, but the real reason they're here is to have a child, to make that child an automatic citizen, leave our country, and then have a U.S. citizen child. It gives them access under this broken system to welfare benefits, ultimately to the voting booth, and all the other rights and privileges that belong solely to Americans. So That practice of birth tourism is, as of the signing of this order, hereby banned.
On the birth tourism executive order, what are the plans for enforcement in terms of cracking down on birth tourism hotels that's common in parts of
So we're
California?
cracking down very big,
people
very
just-
big crackdowns, and this will give us the right to do it in a much more forceful manner. But they've taken birthright citizenship and they've made a joke out of it. They're very unfortunate.
Yeah, so they're really trying to stop that birth tourism, and you know that opens up the doors for spies and all kind of infiltration, because there's a woman, I believe somebody said it was a mayor in California, I believe she was Asian or something like that, don't quote me on it, but I'm gonna do a video on it. I'll probably do it right after this to connect the two. But she was a spy. She was a US citizen who got, you know, citizenship through a birthright, and then she was a spy. All right, so this isn't just hating on immigrants, bro. This is actually protecting the American land, if you want to look at it in that way. I'm just looking at it from the US government perspective, bro. I'm not looking at it from, oh, you immigrants get out of here or nothing. I'm always gonna look at it from a neutral, unbiased way, at least as much as I can, you know. So when it comes to executive orders, just because he put an executive order in place doesn't mean that it's automatically going to go. He tried to do this before and it didn't go through. So if we look at the executive, the process, right? The administration develops the order, the White House or an executive agency develops what the president wants to accomplish. Then the lawyers and policy officials work on the actual language. The proposed order goes through review. Under the established presidential document process, proposed executive orders are routed through the Office of Management and Budget, the OMB, and then to the Attorney General Department of Justice for review of form and legality. Blah, blah, blah. There can also be additional internal review depending on what the order concerns. It gets to the president. The president can approve it, modify it, reject it, or potentially send it back for changes. If the president actually signs it, this is the critical point. Merely saying I'm going to sign an executive order or even announcing that an order is coming does not make it an executive order. The National Archives specifically notes that the White House sometimes publicizes an order in advance, but the president ultimately does not sign it. It is sent to the Office of Federal Register. Office of the Federal Register. After the president signs it, the Office of Federal Register assigns it an executive order number and publishes it in the Federal Register. It takes effect according to the order term. This part is important. Signing doesn't necessarily mean every provision takes effect immediately, and EO, executive order, can specify that it takes effect immediately on a particular future date or after a certain conditions are met. Historical executive orders demonstrate all of these kinds of effective date provisions. The easiest way to think about it, suppose the president says, I'm going to issue an executive order stopping X. At that point, announcement, not an executive order. Then drafting, then legal policy. President signs, official EO is effective according to his term. So if you hear president announce it, you shouldn't automatically interpret it as an executive order. All right. So, yeah, announced it. Just gotta see if they're gonna go through all the way. So, we'll see what happens, man. But yeah, shout out to the USA. Shout out to the immigrants. And shout out to California. Shout out to Idaho. Shout out to Massachusetts. But shout out that melanated world the most we got.